Welcome back to the Scale Up Your Sales and Marketing podcast, which has been created for you to provide practical, no-nonsense support for you as small business owners. This episode is episode number 2 and is all about marketing. What is it and how powerful can it be? That's a question for you, Vic.
Oh, I'm going to start with a story. Buckle up. Are you sitting comfortably? So a couple of years ago, I ran an experiment and I asked 10 business owners in the network group that I was part of. And I asked them, what is marketing? And you know what? The question really threw them off guard, actually. And I think the problem is, I think it feels like marketing is like an unquantifiable entity to business owners. And I mean, yeah, of course, like people know what marketing is, but they find it hard to define and really pinpoint. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of what they said. First one said, marketing is getting people to learn about your products or services via different channels. So yeah, I mean, it is, yeah. The second one said, marketing is about communicating how you are better than your competitors and how you solve the problem that your target audience has. Which again, yeah, that ticks the box. And the third one said, marketing is getting the average person to understand exactly who you are and what you stand for in less than 10 seconds. And I like that.
Wow.
I don't disagree. And these are great examples of what marketing does look like when it's in action. But that's just the thing. It's when it's in action, it's not actually a definition. And I'm going to tell you now, it's way more simpler than that. Marketing is way more simpler. I'm going to give you a quote by Philip Kotler. Now, this is like 20 years ago when I was at uni, we had his book and it was called Corporate Strategy. And I still have that book on my bookshelf today. I'm such a marketing geek. But I consider him the father of marketing. And I was researching him again recently and like trying to find more stuff. And I found a YouTube video of him in 2008 when he was on stage. And he said, the mantra of marketing is to create, communicate, and deliver value to a target market at a profit. That is it. That is all you need to do.
Say it again, Vic.
Create, communicate, and deliver value to a target market at a profit. How does that feel when you hear that?
Easy peasy.
There's a lot of power in simplicity here, and this is where the power of marketing is in making things as simple and as easy as possible for you as a business owner, but also for your customers to purchase. So it's easy, right? This literally gives us it gives us the allowance to literally make things as simple as possible and not like a lot of the times I see businesses with what I call spaghetti marketing. And it's like, imagine spaghetti on a plate and like it's all raveled up. And for me, I love that process of taking each piece of spaghetti and putting it into a little straight line. So can you imagine if you came to my house for dinner and it got like spaghetti in straight lines? That'd be nice. I'm going to do that next time you come around. So this is what it's all about. Less waffle, less faff. That's what you and I are about anyway, isn't it? So let's try and break this down together. This mantra that he's given us, let's break that down and look at it bit by bit. Let me start by saying that when I talk about value, I'm not talking about the cheap meaning like bargain basement. It's to do with how your company can deliver your product or service that is of value to your customers. So that might be £1,000, £100,000, it might be £1, but as long as it has a value to the customer, that is what Philip Kotler is saying here. And actually, I touch on values here just a little bit, but I know you're going to go into this more, aren't you, in the next episode when you talk about features and benefits.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking forward to that. You've been showing me some stuff about a sock. Features.
Oh, I love a spider diagram.
So let's talk about creating value. So when we create value, this is like the very beginning. It's the dreamy bit of our business where we create that idea. There's a need. That's right. That's why we start the business. There's a need or there's a gap in the market, and then we create the solution as business owners, as entrepreneurs. So that's the creating the value that he talks about. Then he moves on to communicate the value. And that's the doing. So that list of things that people said at the beginning, that list of 3 examples that they said, they were right. It is about communicating that value. But but that's in the doing phase. It is showing that you're better than another brand. It is giving people what you do in 10 seconds. It's all about information, but it's also knowing the customer's pain points and knowing what value you create for them. And that's true whether you're service-based or product-based or a hybrid of the two. And also it's true if you're selling direct to consumers and you're selling via your website or via a third party or to a business. And again, or a hybrid, because you could be doing a mixture of all of that.
And the value might change, mightn't it, from customer to customer? So what one customer values might not be what another one values.
Yeah. And that can make it hard. So, for example, that could be on a micro level where there's small differences in values for the same target audience. Or it could be if you're targeting a business and a consumer at the same time, technically you will have two target audiences, and we do come on to target audiences in the series. But when you talk about the difference in values and what the product or service can represent for them, if you do sell to customers and to businesses at the same time, having two different target audiences is really, really essential, because you're creating what that value is, and what you spoke about in the last episode about that starter, main and dessert. They will be different for those two target audiences, and the value that you create for those will be so different as well. So then we move on to delivering the value. So he said create, communicate and deliver. So we're on deliver now. And some people might not agree with me on this, but in my opinion, the delivery of the product or service is included in this marketing definition, and it's really important that it is. Here's why. So Lisa, tell me, can you think of a time when a business has had great marketing, but they let you down with the delivery of that product or service?
Yep. Straight away I can think of something.
Yeah, and I bet all the listeners can as well. We've all had that as an experience as a consumer. I'll give you an example. I had this recently. I ordered a couple of dresses actually and some shoes online with a retailer for a presentation that I was doing at a university. And it was going to be the following week, but I thought I'm going to pay the extra £7 for the quicker delivery just to be safe. And after a week I thought to myself, I don't think I've had that. I don't think that's been delivered yet, because you forget, don't you, sometimes? I thought, wait a minute, I don't think it's even arrived. I even went outside and checked the bin area in case it was down the back of the bin or something.
Over the neighbour's fence?
Yeah. I should have done, but I didn't. So I went straight to Twitter. This was me, right? I love, when I've got a bone to pick with a business, I go straight to Twitter, and I sent them a DM and I just said, oh, hi, just want to find out. I've ordered this is my order number, and I just want to find out where is my product. It's always the best place to complain, isn't it? And I thought that would bypass customer services, because usually Twitter, you get a quicker response. But after a few more days, nothing, even from Twitter. I know. Radio silence. Yeah. So anyway, I bit the bullet and I emailed customer services, and 5 days later, I got a reply. I know, 5 more days, I got a reply saying, oh, I'm so sorry, but it appears that the goods have been lost in transit. Oh, that old chestnut. And they said, would you like us to resend it, or would you like a full refund? So I said, I'd like you to resend, please, because I knew I'd got another talk coming up. And they didn't get back to me again for another 5 days. So I said, I think it's best you just refund me, because at this point, I've got to the end of my tether. So needless to say, I didn't get the dresses and the shoes in time for the presentation. And personally, like inside, I felt really sad, and like I felt let down by the company. And the reason I felt let down is because they made a promise to me. I gave them my money and they didn't deliver, like literally, because this could be a product or a service. It does, although I'm giving you a product example, it's the same for services as well, but they didn't deliver literally. So going back to my point, they weren't just delivering a couple of dresses and a pair of shoes. One of the values that they were providing me with was convenience. Like, that was such a value to me, because it saved me taking time to go to a shopping centre, go and try them on, faff around. Like, I knew that these dresses would pretty much be fine because I've ordered from them before. So it just gave me, the value that they gave me was convenience. And I just felt so disappointed. So let me give you this whole story in a different scenario. So how can you as a business ask for great testimonials to use on the landing page to sell more of what you do if you're really rubbish at the point of delivery?
That's like a mic drop moment, that, isn't it? So I need to ask this question, though. What is a landing page?
Oh, I see. Sorry, okay.
That might be slightly off subject, but I think it's important just to...
Yeah. So when you have your normal website, let's say that you've got a specific product or service that you want to sell, and that has got its own page on the website. When you're sending people to that landing page, you're not sending them to like findmetheleads.com. You're sending them to / blah, 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 blah. And that is the landing page for that product or service.
Which enables you to be really specific about where you direct your customers
so the
to.
less clicks, the better.
Yeah. Got it.
So, yeah, it's really, really important to me that, when Philip Kotler says it's create, communicate and deliver value, the delivery is just as important as creating the idea, communicating it through marketing and actually delivering on that promise, delivering the value on the promise that you've made. And it just makes sense. But I think there'll be people out there that would say, I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I can see why people would say the delivery is a different department in a business. It's not the marketing, but it's the reputation, isn't it? And the brand reputation, and brand comes under marketing. So let's all agree, let's all make a pact. We're going to agree that the delivery of a product or service is just as important to marketing, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So Philip Kotler then went on to say, it's also about understanding your target audience. So when he says create, communicate and deliver value to a target market, or as I say, target audience, same thing. So at its core, marketing is all about, and as you know, Lisa, building relationships with your customers. And it's about understanding their needs, wants and desires, and then finding ways to meet them needs in a way that makes them feel valued and appreciated, right? So we're going to delve a bit deeper into this in episode 4. But for now, I'd like the listeners to give a bit of consideration to who are you trying to reach with your marketing message? What are their pain points, desires and needs? Because I would say 9 times out of 10, when I'm talking to businesses, even those that are established, they don't have a persona, an avatar, a target customer, target audience. It's all the same thing. They don't have that kind of Fred or Bob or Sarah or whoever, like, to know that is who we are talking to. Even you and I with this podcast, we know the type of people that we serve. We've even got a name for them because we know that the people we're talking to are the people that want to do it themselves, and they want to scale the business and they want to have control over what they do with their marketing. So, one of the first questions we asked ourselves, even with our podcast journey, is who are we targeting and what value do they get? Because let's face it, if we weren't doing that, we'd be a little bit rubbish at our jobs. So yeah, by understanding the target audience, it's a great way to create messages that then resonate with the people that you need to target. You don't want to waste time on people that aren't going to be the right target audience for you. So the last point in Kotler's mantra was profit. My favourite part. Sounds like I'm on Dragon's Den. Are
you going to grill me on my numbers at this point?
No, I wasn't going to. Would you like me to?
No, thanks.
Okay, so what I want to ask is, what is the point in running a business if it doesn't make a profit? Obviously, it goes without saying, unless you're running a charity. But even then, a charity needs to make profit to ensure there's rainy day reserves. There's enough money to pay the staff that run the charity and secure the future of it. But, as business owners, the majority of people we speak to have been in corporate world, and they are creating a business that's their dream, that's making a difference to people because they see that need. And at the end of the day, if somebody is thinking to themselves, I might as well go back into corporate because I can make more money, I can just turn up, do the work, close the door and walk away. I don't have to think about it on a weekend or an evening. So for many people, when we're running a business ourselves, we need to make that profit because it's so intrinsic to running the business. And if we don't, then we might as well just go turn up for somebody else. And there's a great quote about that, because as entrepreneurs, as business people, I'm sure you'll agree with this one, Lisa, we work 80 hours for ourselves so we don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else, right? So there needs to be profit built in, of course, because when we're doing double the work, it just makes sense. And it's to secure that ongoing ability of our businesses to succeed. So Philip Kotler's saying, create, communicate and deliver value to a target market at a profit. And so each one of those elements is just as important as the other. And I actually talk about, when we talk about profit, I actually talk a lot about pricing inside the 8-week growth program, and we discuss 15 ways to price. I think you like that.
Yep, I loved that exercise.
So this leads me on to why is marketing so powerful, which obviously is the title of the podcast episode. And what I think we've gained from this is knowing that the simplicity creates the power. So just knowing what Philip Kotler said and stop trying to do so much. I think one of the things I see with entrepreneurs, business owners, is they have shiny object syndrome. They see somebody else is doing, writing a book or doing these freebies or doing this thing. And they think, oh my gosh, I also need to do that. I also need to do that. And I also need to do that. And then before they know it, they've got 20 different touch points and products that they are trying to get out there. Because they're trying to do everything, and it's exhausting, and it doesn't need to be that way. Creating the simplicity, knowing the target audience, and being able to market effectively through the right touch points with the right message, explaining what the value is that you deliver, and then having that, like you said, the call to action, and having that, right, are we in? Yes or no? And having that, building in that element of personality, like you said, and fun, then, it's a winning combination. And that's how marketing can be so powerful, because it helps the business to grow. And somebody said to me once, and I'll never forget this, it's probably about 10 years ago, they said, marketing is actually buying a bigger business, because the more you spend on marketing technically, you should then be reaping a positive ROI, a positive return on investment of that money, which then allows you to be able to grow more within that business. And that might be taking on staff. It might be buying more or better equipment that's more up to date. Whatever that is, it's then allowing you to build the business in an easier way. But it's not just about the bottom line either. For me, marketing has the power to create meaningful connections too with your customers and also with people that you network with. And it can lead to increased loyalty too. It can lead to referrals and also to repeat business. And it's said to be 5 times cheaper to retain an existing customer than to acquire a new one. So I'm going to finish with a few tips. How can you harness the power of marketing for your own business? First, it's really important to start by defining your target audience, and we've touched on that. Next, developing a strong brand identity. And your brand's more than just about a logo or a colour scheme or a font. It's like the overall impression that your business makes on your customers, and it's what your customers say when you're not in the room. So by developing a strong brand identity, you can create a consistent and memorable experience for your customers. And I know that's what you do, Lisa. You create that memorable experience. And I think when we see things that you do on LinkedIn and Instagram, it's having that feeling looking at your posts. So when you say things like, "Hey up Bristol, I'm coming for you," I know we laugh, but that's part of your brand. That's how you speak, and it's the feeling that you give people.
That's the value, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, because you're giving them a feeling, and it's true. It's true to you, and when I see it, I can hear it, and I know that's you talking. It's not fabricated. So the third tip is to use the right marketing touch points to reach your target audience once you know who it is. And we are going to explore this more in episode 6. But for now, just know that this could include social media, email marketing. The list is really long. I've actually got a free download that's got lots of different marketing touch points on. We can put that in the show notes, actually, can't we? But the list could include things like social media, email marketing, search engine optimization, content marketing, loads more. And by using multiple channels, you can increase your reach and engage with your audience in a variety of different ways, right? But there's also that it's having a nice balance between using the right touch points, using enough touch points so that there's a cohesive message that your customers will see across the different channels, but also not using too many, as I mentioned earlier. And then building the marketing, like a strategic marketing campaign plan, so you know what's happening and when. And for me, this is just as important to get the preparation right as the actual execution. So when are you going to take the photos? When will the copy be written and by who? How long will it take to set up the email marketing software? All of these things that we just want stuff to be out there, but actually it's getting all of the ducks in a row before we know what's going to happen.
It's getting the right thing out there, isn't it?
Definitely. And all of these things need to be planned quite a bit in advance so that the marketing appears like really seamless from the outside and that all the messages hit at the right time. Because can you imagine if we're making the podcast. Can you imagine if we just thought, oh, well, we're going to get the podcast out there and then a few months later, we'll put a post out on social and then a few months later, we'll just send an email. Actually, what needs to happen is the day that the podcast is launching, we've got the socials are going out because they've already been warming people up. So we start to say, hey, it's out, go listen. And then we've got an email that goes to your database, to my database, and it's telling people, hey, it's now ready. Marketing can be really powerful when it is consistent and when it's done at the right time. And it's all about getting that preparation right and then executing it in a really clever, seamless way.
I'm just going to ask a quick question.
Ooh.
So talking about audience, so getting to know, defining your audience. So I know you're going to talk about this in another episode in more detail, but just to sort of follow up on something that you mentioned at the start, which was around it's okay to have more than one target audience.
Yeah.
So you talked about a business that might have a product that they're selling to consumer, so a B2C type proposition. But alongside that, they might also have a product or service that they're selling to other businesses, so a B2B. So how many target audiences is it okay to have in your business to the point where it doesn't become too confusing or dilute the message?
It's a really good question. And so what I see in small businesses is that they could have 2 or 3 maximum. They could have 1, 2 or 3. When you get into companies the size of like Unilever or Mars, as you know, it's like literally each product will have its own target audience because they will know that's, like each product range will have a target audience because they'll know that these people buy these particular things for this particular reason. And that's okay because they are product managers that look after that and brand managers that look after all of that. But when people are solopreneurs, it's easier to just have 1, 2 or 3. And even in our business, in Touchpoints, we have our universities that we target with messages about the Marketing Mavericks program that we run. And so that has a different value proposition. And then we have business owners who we help with our 8-week growth program or our marketing master plan or our retreats that are coming up. And that is a completely different message.
Yeah.
That is, although they are both B2C, they are very different. There's different products, different services, different messages, different timelines, different marketing calendars, because they are aware of completely different things.
I think that's really good to hear, actually, and really reassuring. And I think my business has definitely evolved in that way as well. So I used to probably only have 1 target audience, but I'd say that now I definitely have 2, possibly 3. And this is where it becomes really key to understand what you've got in your annual plan and what's coming up when, so that you can tailor your marketing communications to the right activity and the right audience at any given time.
Yeah, and I think we cover that in one of our episodes, don't we?
We've got a lot to cover.
We have got a lot to cover. Oh, yeah. So number 8, what makes a great marketing campaign? We'll be talking about the marketing calendar at that point as well, won't we?
Can't wait for that one. Pens at the ready.
We'll have some good downloadables for that.
Well, thank you so much for that, Vic. That was so insightful and hopefully was really helpful to those of you listening in. As we said at the start, we're all about creating practical, no-nonsense advice and support, which we hope you can easily implement in your businesses.
So join us for episode 3, where Lisa's going to be asking you, what are you selling and who are you selling it to?
Don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram. You can find us at Scale Up Podcast. See you soon.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.